I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to Playing from the Tips, episode 97, the preview and tipping show offering interesting, odd and sometimes valuable insights into the professional golf scene each and every week, presented by Golf Australia magazine. Jimmy Emanuel here in the host chair once again as we prepare to dive into the action from the Murrary River, Pebble Beach, Middle East, India, as well as the return of the LPGA and of course action from the TGL's SoFi Centre. We couldn't cover all of that and so much more without the help of our proverbial epoxy or glue that holds the head of the golf club to the shaft, the all-important and always present Rod Murray. Rod, welcome.
Thank you, Jimmy. What do they make glue out of? That sounds a bit daunting for me. If I'm going to end up being glue.
Wow,
old
two
podcasters.
Old podcasters. Yeah,
I don't want to spoil the finish for you, Jimmy. But glue doesn't come from a nice place, mate.
No, it doesn't. But yours is more of a setup for the next one, which is if you're the glue, the next so-called expert is the head cover of a driver. Some people think them completely useless and do without them. Some people have an odd love for them, and most people don't really care if they're there or not. It's Adrian Logue. Logue, welcome.
Very good description.
I
can't
thought so
argue
too.
with any part of that.
And you can spend almost as much as you like or get as much into it as a hobby as you want to. So it's a perfect
correct.
one for Logue,
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. This is, of course, the point of the show where we reflect on the week that was, highlights, lowlights. If you see social media, you would have thought the only thing that happened was everyone pulled out of the Farmers Insurance Open and it was really slow, but there was some other good. I think Michael Wright winning at 50 plus with his son caddying, Webex Players Series Rosebud. How good?
Magnificent performance. Michael Wright was my highlight of the week. I've been a big
agreement,
believer in Michael Wright from the moment I've known about him, about 3 hours into Sunday's telecast.
Jimmy, you would know Michael Wright a bit better. He is one of the hardest work. He is the quintessential journeyman pro. It is his job. I imagine he gets out cleanly pressed at 8:30 in the morning, goes to the office, has lunch for an hour, comes home at 5. He is as dedicated and as nice a bloke as you are. He could have given it up years ago, and many would have, but he never has.
Exactly. In the lead up to going to PGA Tour Champions Q School last year, where he had, I think from memory, the hole out that helped get him his card.
Yes. Yeah.
He played the PNG Open. He lobbed up in PNG to play, just get reps in and play, and plays everywhere. And as you say, Rod, one of the nicest guys out there. So
what touring pros used to be, Jimmy, in so many ways. They really had to grift to make the payments on the mortgage at home, where you've got kids and all the other stuff that everyone else has got, but you're out there trotting around the globe trying to make the money too. Scott Hender's the same. Scott Hender's done better financially out of the game, but that's a hell of a lifestyle, and that's great to see that reward.
And for him to do that, he gave Jack Carter his third playoff loss already this season. Jack Carter must feel like the unluckiest guy in Australian golf.
Indeed. Yeah. Look, he's a very good player. He's just got to keep doing what he's doing, and the opportunities will keep presenting themselves, and one of them will convert. But it's very hard to win.
Yeah. Well, we see from the outside, it's just a matter of time. It would be hard to see that from the inside if you're Jack. It'd be, what do I have to do? But absolutely. What a plan. Look, that's a two-sided coin too. It's a bit like having a big tax bill. Nobody wants to pay all the money, but it means you must have made plenty. If you've been in 3 playoffs and haven't won, well, you've been in 3 playoffs. That's the truth of it. You've come as close to winning those 3 tournaments as anybody can without actually doing it. So, he'll have his moment. I'm sure of that.
Of course, the first one came for him after I missed his handshake on live TV, so that's I'm accepting some of the blame. But anyway, there's also
last thing, Jimmy. Sorry, just before we go over that, Corey Lamb has the potential. He is different, and that sells. He's a big unit, beautiful. He hit 2 fairway bunker shots on Saturday that were unfeasible. Just unfeasible.
Yep.
He didn't have his best day Sunday. You'll learn a lot from that. You'll be able to fix that. It's just one problem. He just didn't have his distance control. But I think he's a potential superstar in the meet. If he can get on the world stage, he will get a great following, I suspect. A real personality in the game.
And another really nice guy and magnificently nicknamed Chops.
Yeah.
Any great nickname, like our man Logue would have missed last week, our man The Tab, Miguel Tabuena.
Yes.
Any great nickname gets everyone right behind him. Very good.
He had a good Sunday, Miguel.
He did.
Into it, yeah.
Yeah. Jason Scrivener had a good week last week. That's a highlight anytime he plays well. Harris English. I think Harris English is probably one of those guys, if you cover the PGA Tour like Michael Wright, that everyone says, nice guy, awesome, good to see him win, but pretty sort of carbon copy PGA Tour. And there was some competitive TGL. That was a nice change.
Had to happen eventually, didn't it?
Yeah, well, that's right.
Law of averages says that eventually
Yeah,
you've
that's
got to have a good one. Yeah.
Of course, as the number one TGL tipping podcast, at least according to one person in the world, it was part of another successful week of tipping. We had 2 wins, 3 top 10s, take our totals to 7 wins and 6 top 10s for the season. Rod, you know those are unrivaled tipping numbers by a podcast when one regular guest is abandoning you and Porter later this week.
Yep, I'd die on that hill. That's how confident I am.
I would too.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Very,
what are you doing?
Very obscure reference there, but I'm not abandoning him. We're playing 18 holes. That's the agreed number of holes we're going to play, and I'm turning up for 18 holes.
Only agreed number because Logue said, no, I can't do the afternoon.
I think everyone was quite relieved at my that I was the first to take the step there and put it out there.
He sees this as a I am Spartacus moment.
Ooh,
the rest of it.
It's a Musk Trump situation developing.
Exactly.
Just on our numbers though, Jimmy, do you feel like we're juicing them a little bit with these TGL
we are.
things?
Yeah, we
okay,
are.
all right. Just as long as we're upfront about that. Okay.
Well, it's a guaranteed win and top 10 every week, isn't it?
No, we don't.
There's only 2 teams. Perfect.
Full transparency, we don't do top 10s out of TGL, but it's only a limited season, so we're going to front end our wins. And then at the back end of the season, people will have forgotten about TGL and will look even better.
We'll still have that.
I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah,
good. Okay, so as long as we're all happy and comfortable, let's move on to this week. Webex Players Series run continues, this time heading north to the Murray River region on the border of New South Wales and Victoria. Cobram Baruga Golf Club, the host this week. No host as such player, but it's played in honour of Jared Lyle, and there's some fundraising done and everything like that, which is obviously a great cause. Jared from nearby Shepparton to the Murray area, so important week. Very similar field to last week. We do lose Michael Wright and LPGA-bound Cassie Porter as they get ready to head overseas and play their main sort of tours that they focus on. There's a host of recent winners in the field and regular contenders from this season. Very strong women. Ashley Lau, who showed some of her better stuff over the weekend last week. She might start to really find something as she goes back towards Vic Open defence. Jongmin Cho, Kelsey Bennett, Caitlin Pearce. On the men's side, Jake McLeod, Anthony Quayle, Jordan Doole, Phoenix Campbell, Matt Griffin, Andrew Campbell, Jack Carter, goes on and on and on. But a couple of special mentions in the invites. Zach Murray and Marcus Fraser even are both Murray River locals, so that's a nice little thing for them. And Michael Hendry continues his return from leukemia in the field as well, so everyone always happy to see Mick Hendry there. Course is good. It's the old course. There's 36 holes here, but old course is pretty classic for the region. Big Murray sand, red bunker sort of thing. Lots of trees, tees up higher, flat fairways. Some of the greens got a little bit of elevation and a little bit of sort of movement in them, but not a whole lot. Very good golf course for this event because you've had a few women win this one, which always suggests it sets up well for this sort of a thing. So let's get some tips. Rod, why don't we start with you?
I can't go past Jack Carter. He's played too much good golf, and he's running hot. I think Jack Carter, this will be his week. That's how it feels. And remember, I was right last week. I said a veteran, an old stager would win it.
You did.
I picked the wrong old stager.
That's right.
I did. Yeah. I broadly got it right. It'd be like saying a golfer will win. I did.
Did you think about Michael Wright?
I did not think about Michael Wright, and I kicked myself on Sunday, Logue, for not thinking about him.
Good on you for admitting that you didn't think about him. Only you would know.
That's right. The Logue category.
Yeah, that's right.
The winner you thought about but didn't mention until after they
Exactly.
Logue, your tip here?
Well, I was going to pick Jack Carter, but as soon as you said that Rod was going first, I knew I needed a backup, and because I knew Rod was going to pick Jack Carter. My backup is an old favourite of mine, Andrew Martin, who showed good form last week as well. But given a few extra holes, I think he would have actually overrun the field. But yeah, anyway, this week will be his week.
Spectacular player when he's on, Jimmy, Andrew Martin. Just
unbelievable.
Fireworks. Phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, he was one of the best amateur golfers in the world as a young guy, and he's also a Murray River kind of area local. He's a Bendigo guy from a while back, and he's one that just makes amazing amounts of birdies at times. I remember caddying in his group at an event, and he looked like he couldn't bust eggs for the first 2 days, and he won the tournament.
Right.
So, just gets hot and just gets real
There's
hot.
a switch. It's either on or it's off. He may not even be in control of it, Jimmy, but there's an on switch and an off switch.
Correct.
That's how it works, yeah.
Next, let's go stateside and bring in some amateur players and amateur preview work. Logue, give us the lowdown on the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
Thank you for that kind introduction, Jimmy, there. The history of this tournament, there's very well-storied tournaments, the old Bing Crosby National Pro-Am. It's been around it's almost like 88 years or something, 1937. Does that add up? 88 years?
I'm not doing that math.
It's an extremely long-running event, nonetheless. It traditionally played over 3 courses. It's recently obviously taken on this signature event status, which gives it a reduced field and no cut. I think it benefits from a reduced field because this was a bit of a dirge in previous years when there was a big field and it was just slow and boring. The coverage and the rounds were taking 6 hours. So 80-person field, so 80 pros, 80 amateurs. Hopefully we won't see too much of the amateurs. Traditionally, again, this coverage has been extremely amateur-heavy, at least in the early rounds. I think once it gets down to the final 9 holes on Sunday, this is quite good viewing. And on an incredible stage with Pebble Beach. Although we rarely seeing Pebble Beach at its fiercest and finest this time of year. Last year was pretty entertaining. It had to be stopped after 54 holes because of extremely strong winds. And Wyndham Clark was your winner. He's back again to defend. And as you'd expect from a signature event, he's joined by some pretty good players. We've got Scheffler back from surgery. Spieth also back from surgery. Morikawa, Oberg, as you like to say, Jimmy. Hovland, Fleetwood, Rory, Rose, Nick Taylor is in good form. Last week's winner, Harris English, is back. Hideki, and a few Aussies as well, Cam Davis, Jason Day, Minwoo Lee, Adam Scott, which is not too bad. 4 Aussies in an 80-person signature event field. I think we're doing pretty well there. Yeah. My pick, however, is Colin Morikawa, who I think is going to have a pretty good year. And we haven't quite seen that yet, but this might be the start of that.
Very good. On to you, Rod.
I'm going to go with Jason Day because I ticked him last week and he played okay. He was kind of thereabouts, so it was difficult conditions. But you must be full of confidence to wear what Jason Day wore on Sunday.
I liked it.
So I liked it too, but my goodness, what a statement that was.
Yeah, I was into it. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, me too. He's got a good record here at Pebble Beach. He always plays well in California, Jason. And he played well. He's building back, Jimmy. There's going to be, if not this year, next year, I think we're going to see Jason Day back lurking in the top 5 in the world regularly and winning tournaments again. So
I also have Jason Day as my tip in my notes and don't have a backup. So we're all in on Jason Day this week. There we go.
Who did you think? Maybe maybe next week you can tell us who you thought about when I stole Jason Day.
I probably thought about Morikawa. Yeah. And,
did you?
I'll tell you what, I'll go to Ludwig, who played good early last week and then spewed up all over Torrey Pines, both literally and figuratively in terms of a golf sense. So I'll jump onto Ludwig. There we go. How's that?
Not for the first time either, Jimmy. We all seem to have forgotten the final round at Cranston when he was a rookie and kind of had it in the bag and he struggled in the last round. So I feel like that's the last piece of the puzzle for him. I think there's a little bit of a pattern there. You know, he was right there at the Masters. He's a great player. He's going to get there. But that, if there's a weakness, it's that Sunday seems to not be his day, Ludwig.
Yeah. Agreed. Let's keep moving, and we might as well stay in the States for the moment, and we'll go to the other coast. LPGA Tour year kicks off at the Hilton Grand Vacation Tournament of Champions. Tournament of Champions, you don't have to win the previous year to get in. That's now commonplace. I don't really know what we're doing.
It's 2 years worth, this one?
Yeah, I think so. But then they've got previous winners of this event get a category. It's a whole thing. It's at Lake Nona Golf and Country Club, which, of course, is one of the long-time homes of tour pros in Florida. Got real deep golf sickos. We'll remember the Tavistock Cup that used to be on TV where Lake Nona would play Isleworth, and they added a couple of others, and it was just where you lived.
They're
real
Jimmy.
good. Yeah. It was the first time anyone saw Adam Scott with a long putter publicly, I can tell you. There you go.
Oh,
there's a little thing from the past.
Outed himself as one of those golf sickos then, Jimmy.
I don't think that's any doubt. I'm hosting this show with you two idiots. It's a Tom Fazio designed layout, very typical Floridian golf course, very typical of what tour pros want for their home golf course. Plenty of challenge, but there's all different tees, so you can play it different ways. Big focus on practice facilities, home of Annika Sorenstam. Lots of overhanging trees and big white sand bunkers. There's water. There's all that sort of stuff.
Is there a hole that hugs a lake, Jimmy?
There is a titular lake. Yeah.
Unusual for Florida.
Yeah. It's a pretty good field, limited field as well. Defending champion Lydia Ko, Nelly Corder, our players Hannah Green and Minjee Lee, and this is purely coincidental that I mentioned the Adam Scott broomstick. This will be Minjee Lee's first event playing with a broomstick putter as well. So
what? Sorry?
There you
What
go.
now?
There you go. There's a little bit of news for you.
Where did you get that from, Jimmy? That's an extraordinary.
It's actually. There's a few stories rolling out about it today, I believe. But I saw Minjee with that putter in Perth a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
She's been working on it with Richie Smith, her coach, who suggested it. Struggled at Kingston Heath during the Australian Open. Has struggled with the putter at times. Used a counterbalance putter. Done all sorts of different things. I believe it was Richie's suggestion. He's also got Jared Green, Nay Felton, into the same thing, into a long putter as well. So he's obviously seeing some stuff in there, and she's been working very, very hard at it. So we will see if Minjee, and as a member of the Long Putter Club, welcome Minjee. But a big change.
Almost unheard of on the LPGA, Jimmy. I can
there's
remember
a couple.
There were a couple. There is still one of the left-handed girls uses a broomstick putter from memory. It's been a long time, so you don't see them often on the LPGA.
Yeah,
even when they were legal, you didn't see.
Yeah, you didn't see a lot of belly putters out there either. You don't see a lot of arm lock putters. It's not
get on
as
with it.
common. Yeah,
just get on with it.
It'll be interesting. So who is going to win? And I'm going to plant a marker here and say long putter Minjee has a good year and she wins here to start.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bold move, first tournament.
This is someone like Minjee. I've spoken about Adam Scott before. When he did it, it wasn't about necessarily stroke mechanics. It was about completely resetting how you go about putting. Now she has to think about how she moves the putter. She doesn't have to worry about the break. She's not a great green reader like Adam. She's just worried about rolling the ball over her start point. She'll putt good.
Yep. Absolutely. It's a rewiring of the brain. It's like going left-handed. It's a completely and that's what you have to do. If you've got the yips, that's what they sort of recommend. Change where the signals go from and to.
To be clear, she doesn't have the yips though, right?
No,
not at all. Not at all.
She had a beautiful putting stroke, actually. It's very square to square.
So did I.
Yeah.
Quiet.
Lo, your tip here?
Nelly Corder. I'm not really going out much of a limb there.
No,
fairly strong,
really?
fairly strong bow you're out on there, isn't it? Yeah. Maybe nice, comfortable seat you could actually set up in there. There's so much space. That's lovely. I too am staying, although she hasn't had her best stuff the last year or two. Brooke Henderson, 6 starts here, 1 win, 5 other top 10s.
A Rod Murray favourite.
Yeah, she is a favourite. And it's been a while since she won. I mean, we did get over the line in a major, did we not, 2 years ago, myself and Brooke? But
Yeah,
it was a good week. I enjoyed that week.
Anyway, let's keep moving. Go to the DP World Tour and back to, I called you this last week, now it's true, Middle East expert, Rod, with the Bapco Energies Bahrain Championship.
Well, thank you, Jimmy. Bapco Energies.
Great
what
name.
do you think that'd be? It's a great name. You know that it's an oil company. I thought it would be electricity and stuff. They're an oil company, so which is interesting. Hopefully, they're doing the things they say they're doing on their website. Their talk is of transitioning from fossil fuels and whatnot to greener energies. This is what let's hope it's not greenwashing. I hope they're doing what they do. Bahrain's national sort of energy petroleum company. Let's go to the course. It's a, hang on a minute. Sorry, yes. Course. Sorry. Colin Montgomery Design in collaboration with European Golf Design and Robin Heisman. Here's some words from Heisman from Paul Daly's book, Golf Architecture, A Worldwide Perspective, Volume 6. Excellent series of books which are highly recommended. I found this on the top 100 golf courses. A wadi is a creek or a riverbed, by the way. That's generally dry, but in the wet season gets full and can sometimes form an oasis. This is what he said. Apart from a wadi that features heavily in the front nine, the majority of the site was snooker table flat with barely a bush to be seen. What it did have was several active oil wells, crude oil dumps, gas flare pipes, and a maze of overground oil pipes radiating out from a central pipe corridor that split the site in two like a rusty rail track. It was a thrilling task to attempt to turn this semi-industrial wasteland into a beautiful desert course, and it was decided to create a links-like course. There feels like a bigger question to me here, Jimmy. It's a remarkable sort of achievement to do this stuff, but I wonder whether it's good for golf in the end. Here's the other thing. I'll get off this in a minute. The other thing he had to say. The natural sand resembles talc, and it proved totally unsuitable for anything but bulking out the shaping. Indeed, we imported every grain of sand with which the course was built. Fairways and tees were formed of a 45-centimetre layer of double-washed marine sand dredged out of the Gulf, and the greens were built with 30 centimetres of high-quality Saudi mineral sand. Does forcing golf courses onto landscapes like this make any sense or, in fact, do anything good for the game? Make no comment about the course itself and how it'll play. Be interesting, I'm sure. But I just wonder about that, Jimmy. I read those things, and rather than seeing an engineering marvel, I see what the outside world sees of the image of golf, entitled rich people just doing what they feel like doing wherever they feel like doing it. And that's something that golf needs to sort of think about. If golf had been invented in this part of the world, I wonder what it would look like. There's no reason you can't use these landscapes to have interesting golf. They just won't be beautiful, spectacular green golf like we see on TV. And that's a much bigger issue, I know. But desert golf is not my favourite, as people know. Anyway.
For starters, I'm going to start using a wadi as a regular turn of phrase.
I was going to ask how confident you are in your pronunciation of wadi.
In this company, plenty.
Yep.
No problem in this company because nobody here knows, do they?
No, play
I'm completely comfortable.
W-A-D-I.
Yeah, it's a wadi.
Wadi, it's either a wadi or a wadey, so I'm a 50.
No, it's a wadi.
Is it like a barranca, or it's at least barranca adjacent?
I think it's
dry.
in the barranca family. It's in the barranca family. Okay. I don't think the barranca ever gets wet, does it? Whereas these things fill up in the wet season, and sometimes they form an oasis, I assume, after most of the water's gone. Sounds like a really interesting feature.
And you could wadi into it.
Maybe.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Okay, there's going to be some golf played on the course by some people who are good at golf, including Patrick Reed, who I've been critical of. We all have at various times in his career, but you cannot deny his support for the European Tour and the fact that he's been a semi-global player in that Northern Hemisphere, and he's been doing that since long before LIV, so he deserves some points for that. He played all right last week.
Yeah, he did.
He looked dangerous in patches, so he's definitely going to be among the favourites. You expect him to go well this week. Defending champion Dylan Fratelli. Last week's winner, Alejandro Del Rey. Inject Del Rey into my veins. Did you guys watch any of this?
Yeah.
What an entertaining brand of golf, the Seve-like, Mickelson-like golf that can go either way. But my goodness, when he's on, it was spectacular. Are we a chance to see him this year in Australia, Jimmy, at either Oz Open, PGA?
Potentially,
PGA, European Tour player, yeah.
Yeah, depends on what happens with his status because they start the next season, those two events, so they're not a part of this season currently, but he could be, yeah.
Yeah, no, it'd be great to see. The European Tour is doing what the DP World Tour are doing what Webex Series is. They're building a product. I'm finding myself watching it more often than I ever used to, and you get these names, and it's building a really good product. Unlike the idea of let's just create something out of nothing, TGL and LIV. both have things to recommend them. I like this model for the European Tour. They're building something really good here. Defending champion Dylan Fratelli, as I said. Plenty of Europe's best. Marcus Armitage, all those names you saw on the leaderboard last week. Laurie Cantor, Ollison, Dave Micheluzzi, Jason Scrivener, Elvis Smiley. All legitimate contenders, Jimmy. Our 3 players that are regulars on there, legitimate contenders each week. They're spoken about with a chance. Kiwis Dan Hillier and Kazuma Kabori. Dan Hillier has really turned himself into a good player, Jimmy, though he didn't have a good week last week. First round 78 was poor. We saw a lot of it because he was playing in one of the marquee groups, and it wasn't his best golf. So we'll see how he bounces back. At the end of all this, I'm going to tip Jason Scrivener because I really liked the way he played last week. And unlike Del Rey, he's not the sort that you see playing spectacular then terrible. He's playing good. He's going to play good again this week.
Yeah, I had Scrivener as one of my ones on my list as well. I said earlier in the year I think he's going to have a really good year. I've seen a fair bit of him over the last couple of months and looks to be working really hard and finally kind of is insanely comfortable out there. Has kept his card in Europe for however long it is now, which is no small feat, not necessarily playing the big events every year. So I will instead tip David Micheluzzi to find another Australian. And Logue, who are you on?
Well, I thought about Patrick Reed, just to drop a marker.
Good to know. Yep.
There, yeah. But I'm going with Matthew Jordan, who I quite liked in the Open Championship. I didn't know a lot about him before then, but he had that good performance in the Open Championship. And I've been keeping an eye on him. And he did pretty well at Nedbank. And I think he did okay at the in Dubai as well. So not bad form there, and a fine player. And someone who I'd like to see do well, and is Matthew Jordan. What?
He's the kind of player everyone would see and go, he's a nice player. He's just a nice player.
It's a good player.
I'm
looking for the next Ewan Ferguson. Let's.
So I was just going to say, how long before he's Ferguson, and B, will that process be accelerated when he finds out that Logue is keeping an eye on him? You can't play with that sort of pressure.
Look, I know Ferguson's in the field.
He is. Yeah,
just going to pass right over that.
Okay,
good luck to
we'll
him,
ignore that.
I guess.
Yeah,
let's move on from that.
Okay, let's keep moving then. Rod, we're going to stick with you and the International Series India presented by DLF.
Big week of golf.
Jimmy.
Huge.
Jimmy, it is a huge week of golf. And frankly, we'll talk about the course in a moment. Anytime we visit this course, I think the game is more interesting. So, International Series India presented by DLF. DLF's a real estate development company. They developed this real estate, which is the DLF Golf and Country Club, and named it after themselves, which is just fantastic. It's a Gary Player design. Most people will already, if they're golf followers, have a picture in their mind of what this golf course looks like. It's the one with the strange bunker-facing material, which I forgot to find out again this morning what it was. I've known it a few times, but I always keep forgetting it. And it's got that 17th hole with the wall of rocks that it's golf on the moon, and it's somewhat controversial.
They're geotextile bunkers.
Thank you, geotextile bunkers. Now, if you put on your architecture accountant type hat, you could find a lot of fault with this, and all of it would be legitimate. But here's the thing, in the real world, it feels like it's got its place. I look forward to this tournament golf being played here every year, so it ticks the most important box. It's entertaining. So, we sometimes get a bit stuck on all those golf courses we could name as the world's great courses, and they're all correct. This is one of the world's great golf courses, but golf should have some different stuff, and this is really different stuff. So I've been critical of it in the past, but I have come around to actually liking it, looking forward to. Now, it might actually be overshadowed, the course this week, which it rarely is, by the fact that Bryson DeChambeau is teeing up. That is going to create lots of excitement. This course, in fact, might just suit his mind perfectly. It's a bit left field. He's a bit left field. He's either going to love it or he's going to hate it, I suspect, which will probably dictate in some ways how he performs. But he's not really there for his play. I would assume, Jimmy, would it be fair to say Bryson is probably the most high-profile golfer, particularly in a younger generation? He's got social media sewn up.
Yeah.
No other high-profile player has that I can see.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Indeed. So for that, and going to India, one of the 2 most populous nations in the world, you can see the potential benefits for golf there. Good on Bryson for going. I'm sure there's incentives for him to do that. But I'm not his biggest fan, but this is great stuff to see him reigning US Open champion, going to India. I would imagine that'll generate some interest. And who knows what he'll do while he's there. He's not the only one. Lots of live players teeing up, as they tend to do in these international series events. You've got Joaquim, Cameron Tringali, Harold Varner, Paul Casey. A lot of local support for Anaban Lahiri, I'm sure, who probably won't be without a chance. I'm not sure how that crew's going to get on with Eugenio Chikara. Jimmy,
No.
having left live and said some not particularly nice things about it
And
on
had a
his way
kick
out
on the
the
way
door.
out. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so there's going to be some heavyweights wandering around in India that he might be looking to avoid. It'll be interesting to see how he goes. Another interesting name in the field, Ollie Schneiderjans. Bit of a blast from the past. The hatless Ollie Schneider.
Great head of hair. Yeah.
Magnificent head of hair. Someone gave him the same advice Nagel gave Thompson, I think, Logue. What did Kel Nagel say to... Oh, not Kel Nagel. Norman von Nyder tell Thompson?
I can't recall. It was something like, you've got a great head of hair, don't cover it up. Or something.
Don't ever wear a cap. You can make a lot of money with a head of hair like that. Something like those. So,
I think it was von Nyder, wasn't it? It
was Von Nyder,
Nyder.
yeah. Not
Von
Nagel,
Nyder.
Von Nyder. Kel Nagel would never have said something that could be remotely potentially critical, so it wouldn't have come from him.
Ollie Schneiderjans played like the live promotion stuff, and so did his brother.
Yes, that's right. And that's how they got in the field. Basically, if you play live, you're welcome to play any of the international series events. They'll find a category to get you in, which makes a lot of sense. So good luck to them. Plenty of Australians in the field. Won't know them all. Some of the standouts, Jack Buchanan, Maverick Amflick, Scott Hend, Jed Morgan, who made the cut last week, maybe quietly started to build back. That was a good step forward, good to see. So he's back this week, another building block there. Jack Thompson, so there's lots of Australians in the field. I think, as I said, I think Bryson will like this course. No disrespect, but if he's got even his B game, he'll be amongst it. And if he's got his B plus game, he'll win it, probably going away.
Logue, thoughts?
Interesting is that it's going to be fascinating to watch Bryson. Like, I think you put yourself in the shoes of an Indian golf fan. This is going to be surely the biggest event for a few years, in recent memory, that they've had there, and headed by Bryson's attendance. But the rest of the field is pretty strong. I like Joachim, or Joachim, as you like to call him, Rod. Joachim Neiman.
Joaquin.
Yeah.
Or
I'm going with Joachim.
Yeah. I'm also going to go with Neiman, but because partially, I think Bryson will go there and put on the show and do all that sort of stuff. If you are an Australian cricket fan, you will remember Shane Warne's struggles going to India. Not necessarily just with conditions. With food, with everything like that.
You have to take a bunch of baked beans and stuff.
Yeah, they ship baked beans and Vegemite and stuff. Bryson is also one of, a lot of the YouTube stuff shows the eating and how regimented it is and what it is and everything like that. He is going to struggle.
I remember practicing hitting over his house, though, and I feel like that's a good comp for DLF.
That's true. But
if only he had some money, Jimmy, he could take his own chef and team to India with him on the private jet.
We all know that you can do all those things, but that you're still getting a little bit of you going to a different culture, and it's a whole different thing, and it'll be a test for him. I think
it'll be either way for him. He's either going to light it up or he's going to be awful, I think.
He's had his worst meltdowns at Open Championships where it's just a bit slightly different. Like we're taking him very far out of his comfort zone. Good on him for doing it.
His body's a temple, and
it is
anything that upsets that.
And some of the temples in India have cows.
There's plenty of stuff
so
that could
he's
desecrate his temple.
Yeah.
In India.
Exactly. Anyway,
good on him. Good on him. That's the key message.
It is. They're probably part of his live contract to play an international series event. But anyway, we'll keep moving. We'll keep moving past that. That's good for the game. So good on them for doing it.
Is there more golf this week, Jimmy?
There is, but by the time most people listen, the TGL will actually have been played because they're playing it Monday night in the US this week, because I think this is just my educated guess, because it's a signature event this weekend. They play it earlier in the week to let the players get there, because we've got
a big clash this week.
Big clash, heavyweight title clash almost.
We've been working our way up to this for 2 years.
Yeah.
Really?
So Tiger's Jupiter Links against Rory's Boston Common. Tiger is him, Tom Kim, Kevin Kisner, Rory alongside Keegan Bradley, Adam Scott. Probably be over by the time most people listens, but we'll tip to juice the numbers. My team is Boston Common, so I'm all in. Go Frogs, Logue.
Frogs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Their logo is the ball frog. It's a frog with a golf ball stomach. So let's go Frogs.
Oh,
Keep up.
Gee, Well, if I'd known that. Oh,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, sorry.
You can't be going for Jupiter Links though, Rod, can you? I'm going Boston Common. Yeah,
I think I'm going to. So, look, it's how do you pick?
this should be an easy 3 wins for us to add to our tally.
Yeah, this is
it's that game. One of these kids is not like the other ones. One of these kids is not quite the same on both those teams. Scott McElroy, Bradley. You know,
Excuse me, Keegan Bradley.
Keegan Bradley.
He's having a good year in his own right. Last year, 12 months.
I know he is, but you would not describe him as one of the titans of the
his
game,
way
would you?
into potential playing captain status.
Listen, I back them. Kevin Kisner. I don't understand. Some of these things I don't understand. It's supposed to be fun.
Kevin Kisner provided arguably the highlight when he hossled one out of the bunker into the flagstick when they played last time. So,
well, that tells you something, doesn't it? The hosel was the highlight. It's look, and it's a different. Have they got a chance, Jimmy? It feels to me like they've overinvested and they're not going to get the return. The spike in interest to start with, you see it fading. This will be a big one this week. Tiger and Rory. There are no 2 bigger draw cards in the game except maybe Bryson.
It'll be interesting to see whether they just goof off this week, Tiger and Rory. Like they just goof about, or whether they get really competitive. It's
got to be one or the other, doesn't it? If they goof off and it's funny, that's fine. If they play really competitive and it's close, that's fine. This kind of hybrid model where nobody's really playing properly and nobody's taking it seriously and nobody's really... I don't know. It's too long, I think. It needs to be shorter. They can have some fun with it. It's got loads of potential, but in its current format, I don't see it necessarily surviving.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of retooling, maybe even as this season goes on. But then after this one, you can only do it after you try it and you experiment with it.
Yeah.
Adam Scott will be really interesting to watch in that environment. There's an Adam that a lot of the world probably doesn't see a lot of the time when he plays tournament golf that could come through and will endear him to a lot of people. Anyway, that will just about do us for episode 97. Rod, Logan and I aren't even in the studio today. Does that mean that next week when we show up, it's going to be some complete retool?
No, but the reason we're not in the studio is because it's 40 degrees today here in Sydney. It's got to be at least 47 in the studio, and I'm just not up for that. Anything I've stuck anywhere with glue is in danger of coming off, so it's a WHS issue, Jimmy.
Oh,
the heat melts the adhesive on things, like you've got cable management you tape to the wall. In the heat, just falls straight off. So that's why it's too hot in there. It's why I'm also not in there. I'm in my air-conditioned studio space, so my sound won't be quite as good.
How nice to have multiple options,
a second space,
Yeah, it's truly an empire over there.
I recommend it. Well, the Sydney Podcast Studios compound is a very special place to me, Jimmy, as you can imagine.
I can imagine. Thank you, Rod. Logue, do you think Ewan will ever forgive you after Friday?
Excuse me. 18 holes scheduled. I'm playing 18 holes. That's the bottom line. And I think, everybody's secretly relieved that I was the first to take the step there and declare it an 18-hole day.
Okay. You keep telling yourself that. Anyway, you can keep up to date with all the action covered here and much more on golfaustralia.com.au. You'll also find our sibling podcast, The Thing About Golf, which I think makes its return this week, Rod.
Tomorrow, in fact, Jimmy, with Lucas Herbert. Highly recommend.
There we go. So get around, listen to that, and follow all the action. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week on Playing from the Tips.